All right, man. I'm a man of my word, and I told you all once I got more information surrounding the Angie Stone situation, I will provide you all updates, and I got several updates to say the least. And unfortunately, a lot of these updates only buy more so into the theory that there is something strange that happened to her, to the contrary of what they actually told us happened. And stories like this is especially important, or updates like this is especially important for those who hop in the comment section like they did in my previous video, saying or asking the fair question of, why is it always a conspiracy, or why is it always a conspiracy theory when it comes to celebrities passing away? Why can't they just pass away like everybody else? And again, that's a fair question, but again, 2 + 2 = 4. And when 2 + 2 = 3, and were they telling you that it equals 5, we have to do our own research and use our own common sense. And when you dig into this story, there's just a lot of things that just don't make sense. So, as a lot of you all remember, the story as they reported it to us was Angie Stone and her crew were on their way back to Atlanta when their Mercedes Sprinter van, for whatever reason, flipped over 3 times and was at some point struck by an 18-wheeler. Well, it turns out that that's actually not the truth. It turns out that Angie Stone did not pass away in the van, and according to this lady who was there on the scene, she not only saw Miss Angie Stone alive, but she helped Miss Angie Stone out of the van and briefly spoke to her before Miss Angie Stone was then directly struck by an 18-wheeler.
I just got hit by an 18-wheeler on the side of the interstate. I have pieces of the fender in my hair, and I have its oil all over my body. I'm gonna clean this up, and I'm gonna get back to telling the story, and I'll show you the footage. After driving the 6 hours home, showering, and processing it all, here's the story. About 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, me and my daughter were driving to Charleston, South Carolina for her Sweet 16 birthday getaway. We came up to a truck with a trailer and its flashers were on, so we slowed down some, and that's when I noticed there was an overturned vehicle in the fast lane. And it looked like it just happened. I pulled over and put my flashers on, and I told my daughter to stay in the car, and I ran over. It was a van, and I ran over, and there were so many people in this van, and they were just trying to get out. And I asked if they'd called the cops, and they said, we're just trying to get out. And they were helping this woman out off the side of the van, and I grabbed her hand and I helped her get down, and she seemed out of it, and I was holding her hand and she was wobbling around, and I said, baby, you gotta sit down. And then the next thing I know, I flew and I fell down to the ground, and it felt like something not ran over me but brushed over me. It like something just swiped over my body, and I got up and I could hear screaming, and I just focused in on one screaming, and it was my daughter. And all I could do was run across the highway and tell her to get back in the car. She had to move the car because if somebody else hit us, it could hit her. So she moved the car farther up the interstate, and I called 911, and they said they were on their way. And then all I could think to do was get to my daughter. And that's all I could do at that time. And when I was walking to my daughter, we're really running the best that I can do. I was in so much pain. My chest felt like an elephant was sitting on it. My legs were so hurt and sore. And I looked up, and there was an 18-wheeler that had crossed the median into oncoming traffic, and I knew that's what hit me and ran over and brushed over me was the 18-wheeler. And my daughter's freaking out. She'd already called my husband by then and my father-in-law, and I just told her, we've got to get to the hospital. I can't breathe. It was so hard to breathe. I'm gonna post a video of the 18-wheeler after I left the hospital, driving back through to get to my husband and my son. I will not be posting the vehicle in the video because somebody did pass away. They did. And I won't be posting that for respect for their family. I'm sore. I'm just on the right side of my body. I'm very stiff everywhere. But I will keep you guys updated. And the video is going to come at the end, okay? Hug your family tight. Hug your family tight. Bye.
Listen, this will be up for you all, of course, to decide if you believe the story or not. I really don't see a whole lot of reasons not to believe this woman. Like, why would she come out and lie about this? But I will say, I have questions from a logistical standpoint. So when you helped her out the van, did you set her in the street? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, did the 18-wheeler, I mean, if you're coming down the interstate and it's a straightaway, the 18-wheeler should have seen you all. I guess I'm just trying to figure out, how does an 18-wheeler strike a human being who's just sitting on the side of the road when there's a vehicle that's been flipped over on the side of the road? I would just imagine that any 18-wheeler driver would see that. Any driver would see that, regardless of what you're driving. So was this truck driver intoxicated? Was he falling asleep at the wheel? Was it night? I'm still, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, so it was nighttime, but I'm still trying to understand how he was able to hit her and get so close to you where it blew you away, but it didn't fully strike you, which thank God it didn't. I'm just trying to understand that point. But speaking of the truck driver, who is the truck driver? Like they tell us it's a truck driver that drove for CRST, the trucking company, 33-year-old man from Texas, but they don't give us a name. This person never got arrested. There's no mugshot. There's no picture. There's no Facebook accounts. There's no nothing. And then there's a report of this guy apparently quitting. How do you strike a person that eventually led to them not being alive anymore, and you're not interrogated by the police? There's no interrogation footage. And then my understanding is the CRST, and I told you all this in the last video, the trucking company CRST apparently has video cameras pointed inside the vehicle and outside the truck as well. But yet we have yet to see any video footage of either. And what made it even more weird, that apparently this is the same trucking company, that being CRST, that Tracy Morgan sued some years back because they allegedly almost took him out. So he sued and I think won a lawsuit with them as well. So I thought that was a little bit strange. But we moved from the truck driver to the people that was allegedly in the Sprinter van with Miss Angie Stone. That was what, reportedly like 8 other people. Yeah, we have yet to see any interviews, any Instagram posts, because anybody that would have posted from that was involved in that situation, it would have went viral by now. All it would have took is for that person to post, one person to share, and it would have just took off like wildfire. We haven't seen a video. Nobody's hopped on social media and had a live, recorded a video and posted it, did any interviews with any major news networks. No video footage of them talking to the police at the scene, which, speaking of the scene, there's no professional photos of what happened to this day. I gave it time. I looked into it myself. There's literally nothing. There's no body cam footage. There's no nothing. How is it that the only footage that we see, the only pictures that we have, are from bystanders and people passing by in their car that just see the van flipped over? Why is that all we have? And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there is this lady by the name of Sharita Murphy who was allegedly was in the van when it flipped over, that had this quote here where she states she begged the driver of the Sprinter van to slow down before they crash, but he didn't listen to her. And I didn't include this earlier when I said that nobody from that was in the van when this happened gave a quote. I didn't include this because I don't know how to confirm if this is actually true or not. So I looked to see if I could reach out to this person, but this person's Instagram is private. So I will just say, if you were in the van, why have you not said anything yet? And if this person, Sharita Murphy, was involved, why would you make your page or keep your page private when I'd imagine that so many people are wanting to know what happened? My theory, I don't know, that's just suspicious. Like, if that's either like making people look at you all in a funny way, and I don't really want to say what I really mean by that, so you all can interpret it however you interpreting it. But if you're involved in something so serious that resulted in somebody ending their life, and you've been like as quiet as a mouse, you're not saying anything, that's gonna make me look at you sideways. Like, are you all scared? Were you all involved? Like, what's going on here? And this allegedly happened on I-65. So I would also just imagine, with a person of Angie Stone's status, we would have by now received some sort of I-65 live camera footage, but we haven't even received any of that footage. Another thing that really stood out is the live that Angie Stone did back in December, where she was claiming that the record company was stealing money from her and all these different things, and she don't know how far they will go to avoid having to pay her what they owe her. Well, according to this guy that she was working with, because in that video, she referred to a team that she was putting together called the Diesel Squad or the Diesel Team. Well, there's a guy by the name of Stone Paxton, who she apparently calls Stoney, who was a part of that team of people that were going to go and look in her royalties and look to see if anybody had been stealing from her, to see if she actually owned her music. And it turns out that apparently she had like 40 songs that was stolen from her.
What's up, you guys? Stone Paxton here, and I wanted to get on TikTok, Instagram, all the other social media things, and I wanted to have a small little conversation about Angie Stone, because I've been getting so many messages from my YouTube video and the Instagram video and the TikTok video as well. with people asking me what my involvement was with Angie. And that involvement is when you hear her. And it's because when Angie was talking on one of her videos, a few of her videos, she mentioned my name. And when she speaks of the Diesel crew, she's talking about us, the West Coast crew. And she talks about her team that has discovered things and has unveiled things for her. We took over doing the forensic for finding her songs that were missing that she couldn't find. And, you know, it's weird because it was a process and it was week after week. We were on the phone, we were talking and blah, blah. You from one end to the other spectrum when it comes to the music industry. And we did discover a lot of her stuff that was not in her name. And we were the ones that actually had to let her know. The company that I worked for, the TBC Group. My big brother, Vasal Benford, the CEO of the TBC Group and TBC Group Management. We were the ones that took over finding the songs, shall I say. I'm trying to make sure I say the right word because I don't want anybody to see this video and then they'll take the video and run with it and take parts from it. We were the ones that decided to go and search and find where her publishing was. And we started discovering various things, various situations with her publishing and what was going on with it. And we presented it to her and told her that there was no publishing in her name. And then there were some songs that she had done through the years that weren't even registered in her name, that had never been registered. But we started to find stuff that didn't make sense per se, right? I'm not mentioning any names. We're just going to talk in general. Angie was very sharp. You know, although she didn't know full details, she knew something wasn't right. And that's why we came on board. Not only that, we were also the ones that were setting up her residency, the TBC Group Management, TBC Group Entertainment, okay?
And according to what this guy said, Miss Angie Stone claims that after she did enough digging, she was under the belief that $50 million was missing based on the money that she made and should have been paid by that point in time. And another weird thing about this incident was that there were fans that actually called the hospital that Angie Stone and the other passengers were allegedly taken to. And there's no record of anybody from that accident being taken to the hospital.
You were able to confirm if any of the passengers were treated there?
And look and see if there was a name.
Angela Laverne Brown happened on February 28th, I believe. I'm not sure if she was admitted February 28th or March 1st.
I don't see a name.
If they were in critical condition, say they passed away on the way there or on the scene, do you know what happens after that? Do they still take them to the hospital or?
Yeah, they do.
They still take them
But
just
I don't
to check
see her name.
Can you try her married name? I'm not sure which name she's going. It's Angela Laverne Stone.
So you're looking for Angela Stone's her body?
No, not her body. Just information if she was taken or admitted there February 28th or March 1st, because that's what we were told. So we just want to make sure we're giving the right information.
It doesn't say, because I put in Stone, but it's Angelica or something like that. But
Right.
It's not Angela.
Okay.
Is her middle name D?
I'm not sure what name she going by, honestly, because her maiden name is Brown. So then she was married.
Brown. Yeah, Brown wasn't in there.
Okay.
But it's Angela. It's Angelia, but it doesn't say whether she was here or not. Okay. I didn't find anything, but like I said, her name is not on my list, and I think that's as far as I can go with it.
Is there an EMT, because I know the EMT, they sent the emergency to the scene. That's what we were told. And is there like an EMT manager or?
I don't know. That would be
Okay.
separate from.
Like, weird is an understatement. I think it's weird enough that nobody's done an interview, nobody said nothing that was involved in the accident, where she was the only person that ended up passing away. But on top of that, there's no record of you all ever going to the hospital. I don't know, man. Like, honestly, the biggest question I ask when situations like this happen is if it was me or if it was you or if it was somebody that you knew locally, your family or a friend of yours, and God forbid it ever happens to them. Imagine if it was this many red flags around what happened to them. That's why stuff like this needs to be looked into. Because unfortunately, as a celebrity, it's going to be very hard for people to see you as a normal person and treat you like a normal person. So whenever you pass away, you're going to always have somebody that side-eye it. Even if there's 100% proof that it was a natural death, People are always going to question it. But when it's this many red flags, everybody has great reason to question what's really going on here. And it doesn't help that you got somebody like Jaguar Wright, who apparently knew Angie Stone. And I'm not going to say confirmed because that sounds so official, but Jaguar Wright is under the belief. And as we know, she's been saying a lot of stuff for years. If nobody else been proven to be right, it was Jaguar Wright in 2024. With all the stuff that came out about Diddy and some of these other celebrities, she's been saying this stuff for years. Well, here she is saying that she is under the belief that Angie Stone was taken out by powerful people in the music industry.
Amir Questlove Thompson was one of his handlers, which is why he was made his musical director, so he'd always have a reason to be around him and manipulate who was coming in and out of his life and sphere. And his next handler has a history with powerful industry men, and her name is Deanna Williams, and I know for a fact she a handler, because at one time she thought she was mine. She just called it mentorship. She's also the baby mom of Kenny Gamble, one of the greatest American songwriters of all time. And she is one of the industry moms I'm about to expose later this year.
Why do you think she was allegedly?
The boy wants in, the father wants out.
Why do they want?
What do you mean? They want their payment. They want their pound of flesh. They want you to keep feeding the system. Doesn't matter how hard she worked for it. That's not her money. That's their money. That's what they do. They've been robbing me for years.
Yep.
They stole more money from me than they stole from Angie. I can't stop thinking about Nick Carter and Aaron Carter. I can't stop thinking. Brother in the Illuminati, brother not in the Illuminati. Brother in the Illuminati commits all kinds of heinous crimes against women, and he's okay, but his brother's gone. And all he wanted was his money so he could push on. Like, how many of these things have to happen in front of the public? Of course they're going to attack, I'll be sure. Of course they're going to attack me. Of course they're going to attack anybody who's interested in the truth. Of course they're going to come at us really hard for that first 72 hours and make sure we stop posting or at least get us flagged from being able to go live so nobody thinks about the details of the fact that we just watched Angie Stone get moved around in real time on her son's birthday.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to be skeptical because they believe, hey, why would they take out Angie Stone? She wasn't in her prime anymore. She wasn't a huge artist like a Michael Jackson, like a Prince, like a DMX and these other people who have mysterious deaths. But this is all I would say to that in response. Millions of dollars is millions of dollars. There's a reason why a lot of artists fight for their royalties. They fight for their masters because that's money that's a lot of bread. Some people eat for the rest of their life off their masters. And if this lady is finding out after 30, 40 years in the business, hey, this whole time I thought I owned my music. This whole time I thought I had X amount of dollars. It turns out I don't. And then on top of it, all of a sudden when I mention it, I get this weird bacterial blood infection that came out of left field that she claimed that she was poisoned. And just 2 months after that, live where she shared this information, she mysteriously passes away in a car accident. Or I should say in the result of a car accident where she was then, according to this lady, struck by an AT. I don't know, man. All this did is raise more red flags. It raised more questions. And I think it's an insult to our intelligence to think that we're just going to believe this stuff. You all up in the comment section and give me your thoughts. What do you think about this? Have you heard about all of these updates? Was there something I shared in this video that you didn't know about? Do you think that do you think that these are actual red flags? What are your thoughts? Hop in the comment section, let me know what you think. Once again, rest in peace to Miss Angie Stone. I send my condolences to her family, her friends, her loved ones. Y'all stay safe out there, man. I'm Demetrius, I go by Didi. That's all for this one. Peace. Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.